This is our last Sunday for our series that we've been doing called Playlist. And through the last 3 weeks, we were looking at chart-topping songs across all genres. Last week we did country, and we're using their lyrics and the meaning of the songs as a means to challenge our relationship with Jesus. Now, we are in no way, as a church, as a community of faith, endorsing these songs. We are simply using them as a tool to draw ourselves closer to God. Today, we conclude the series with the song Whatever It Takes, sung by American rock band Imagine Dragons. The song is currently number 12 on the Billboard Top 100 and number 1 on the Billboard Hot Rock Songs. The song has grossed more than $1 million in the year that it's been released. So again, it's a chart topper. And this morning, take a listen to Whatever It Takes. I do what it takes. Dan Reynolds told ABC Radio, the song is about recovering from past pain. It's about overcoming my own self-confidence issues. He went on to say, I was taught that you could do whatever you could dream of. You just had to work harder than everyone else, and you had to never give up. I know it's a cliche, but there's a reason it's a cliche. So within the song, if you break down the lyrics and really look at them, you realize that the author wants to accomplish something in his life. And he doesn't want to give up until it's done. And as I was praying and reflecting on the song for the last few weeks and what direction to go with our talk, I felt God nudge me with these 2 simple questions. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to reach your friends and family for God? What does that look like for you? Because see, what we have to realize is when I put that question out there, are you willing to do whatever it takes to reach people? All of us are different. You work different jobs, you have different families, you have different economic statuses, the different situations that you're in. It's all different for you and me. But are you willing to sell out and do it? But here's the problem with our fast-paced American society. So often, many of us, when we're asked how we're doing, we say, well, we're good, but we're busy. We're busy. In fact, if you look at our own lives and we're really honest with ourselves, some people say, well, I'm too busy to stay in shape, Chris. I don't have enough time to schedule in a jog or a walk. I don't have time to schedule in the gym. I work so much, I can't afford the gym. Like, it's just not a priority for me. We're too busy to take care of ourselves. For many families now, a family meal is a quick stop at the fast food restaurant, giving food to their kids, talk on the way to the soccer practice. That's their family meal. Are we just too busy? Many of us, we're too busy, and we find ourselves, in fact, falling out of sorts emotionally. We know we could have a breakdown at any second. We feel overwhelmed, we feel stressed out, but we're too busy to have a breakdown. Let's be honest, we're just too busy to have a breakdown. There's not enough time to feel sorry for ourselves. We're emotionally worn thin. Some of us, we're out of touch relationally. There are people that we love that we just haven't connected with, or in fact, our own family. For some of us, our kids don't see us. We don't spend enough time with them, and the focus is, get everyone tucked in and finished so I can lay on the couch. And our relationships suffer because of our busyness. Finally, and this is a really big one for me, and I pray that it's for many of you, we're so busy that we're out of sorts and out of order spiritually. We believe in a God, but our actions speak differently. We don't read the Bible, we don't pray, we don't make time for Him. Studies now show that the average Christian goes to church once a month, and that's good enough. The reality is this. In a fast-paced society, in a fast-paced world, especially with our American culture, God takes a back seat. You know, we need time to relax. I need time to take care of the yard. I need time to get the chores done. I need time to go to the game. I need time to go and visit family. I need time to go on vacation. I just don't have time for God. In verse 1 of the song, Whatever It Takes, Dan Reynolds sings about he's living in a dangerous, negative, and nepotist world. He sings it's an unfriendly world. In fact, listen to this verse. He says, I'm falling too fast to prepare for this. Tripping in the world could be dangerous. You know, doesn't that sound like just, I'm too busy? I'm tripping. I'm not moving forward. I'm not changing. And then he goes on to sing, they're circling like vultures waiting for me to fail. People are circling. The world is circling, just waiting for a misstep, waiting for a mistake. There's that temptation, that busyness, that laziness, that if we don't make Jesus a priority, then things won't change. And we'll just continue to be busy. And we'll just continue to live in the American meat grinder and just not allow anything to change. Now, in the pre-chorus, he sings this: whip, whip, run me like a racehorse, pull me like a ripcord, break me down, build me up, I want to be the slip, word upon your lip, letter that you rip. And as he was singing that, as I was reading those words, it's just, God impressed on me Paul's challenge in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, where Paul challenges those in a relationship with Jesus, just beat your body down, make it a slave. Make your schedule a slave. Don't allow it to control you. Don't allow your temptations and what you want physically to control you. Don't allow your choices to disqualify you from the prize. You know, may my actions come from God, be a word on his lip. And it's just so encouraging to me that when we make Jesus a priority, busyness can change. We don't have to respond that we're busy, that we're out of control. No, we can respond with, I'm closer to Jesus. And that's all that matters. So this led me to the text for our topic this morning. If we're going to do whatever it takes, then we have to be willing to give our life away. And in Paul's letters to Timothy, a young pastor that he was training to raise up and take over his churches, and he uses these letters to challenge the younger Jesus followers to not allow their world and their circumstances to become a distraction. Because you saw in the music video, there's so many things being torn and thrown at you. Right? There's those temptations. This is the key to life. Oh, it's music, it's this, it's that. And they found themselves, sinking and drowning, overwhelmed with busyness. And in 1 Timothy chapter 6, Paul challenges Timothy with, remember these things. These things are what is most important. And if you're a follower of Jesus here this morning, you are called to do whatever it takes to live out these simple actions and to experience true life, which brings us to our first thought this morning. You see, true life means to do good. True life means to do good. 1 Timothy 6, 17 through 18 says, teach those who are rich in this world not to be proud, not to trust in their money, which is so unreliable. Their trust should be in God, who richly gives us all we need for our enjoyment. Tell them to use their money to do good. Now, quite often, this 1 Timothy 6, 17 through 19 is focused on money and giving, and I'm not going there today. I'm not allowing ourselves to focus on that. I want to focus on the do good part. And I want to focus on what Paul challenges the young leaders within that church to do and how to live their lives. And the first thing I just want to point out is this. We're all rich. It doesn't matter your economic status. It doesn't matter what you earn. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter what you drive. You're rich. Okay, if you have $2 in your pocket that we spend leisurely anywhere, you can go to get a cup of coffee somewhere, spend $2. We spend $2 leisurely. Remember, that's the average wage for those around the world. The average monthly wage, $2. Right? And we can spend it leisurely. So as Americans, we're rich. And Paul is writing this letter to us. And the word good, do good, means to be generous. Generosity at its core is this: love, compassion, mercy, kindness, selflessness, and attentiveness. Right? Just love, compassion, mercy. It's those qualities that God desires for us to live. And that umbrella, those words, means to do good. Like your character matters. But the crazy thing is this: we often find ourselves too busy that we forget to do good. We forget to smile at others. We forget to look at others. We forget to have interaction with our neighbors. We forget to talk to friends and family. Now think about this. We live in an age of abundance. It's never been easier to get what we need, meaning food, clothes, and entertainment. Think about it. A push of a button, okay? We can have our food for the week delivered to us. Or if you don't want it delivered to you, at a push of a button, you can order or shop at Walmart, pull up to the door, and they will bring it and put it in your car. At the push of a button, we can have a pizza delivered to us. At the push of a button, we can watch any movie that we want. We can order our clothes, make sure that we have shoes on our feet. And the amazing thing is this, that to push of a button, we can also download the 10 books that we need to read. We can also download the latest topics we need to hear that challenges us to be a better person. The point is this. We live in abundance, but it has caused us to be busy. Because at the same push of a button, we can think about, well, I got to go on vacation here. I got to visit this part of the city. I got to do this with my kids. I got to do all these things. And then what do we lose meaning of? We lose sight of what real life is all about. And we read about that in Galatians 6, 9 through 10. It says, let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing. If we don't, we give up. Therefore, whenever we have the opportunity, we should do good to everyone. And yet so often doing good is something that we have to schedule in. Well, I have to schedule it in my calendar to volunteer. I have to schedule it to have someone over. And the reality is, why don't we just make it a part of our everyday lives? Titus 3:1 says, remind the believers to submit to the government and its officers. They should be obedient, always ready to do what is good. Notice what it says, always ready. That means it's a priority. Doing good is a priority. Always be ready to do good. Reynolds sings he is willing to give whatever it takes to succeed, and then he gives the reasons why. Listen to what he says. He says, I love the adrenaline in my veins. I love how it feels when I break the chains. I love how it feels to make it to the top. Right? And in all those lyrics, as he's singing it just reminded me, if you're in a relationship with God, to make it to the top, you got to do good. Like you will feel a rush in your veins like you never had if you volunteer and you serve and you put others first. You will make it to the top. We will be laying a foundation for what? Our future kingdom. When we make it a priority to do good. And we will have those same feelings that he sings about in our everyday lives. It's not just a song we hear come across the radio, which brings us to our second thought. True life means be rich in good works. Tell them to use their money to do good. So do good. They should be rich in good works. So when it comes to generosity and being generous, we often think about it and say, well, Chris, I love to be generous. I have a heart of generosity. And then all we have to do is look at our actions. Does it back up our heart of generosity? As if we are generous and we feel that we have a heart of generosity, then what are we doing? Because if actions aren't lining up with the words, then it's just all words. We have got to allow ourselves to be rich in good works. For example, just 6 simple questions this morning that points to whether we're rich in good works. Are you positive? Every day that you wake up, are you positive? Do you believe there's good? You know, so often we wake up and it's immediately the same old, same old. And if we're not positive, guess what? We're not going to do any good works. Do you encourage others? Who's the last person you texted? Who's the last person you called, sent a letter to, sent an email to? Just with some encouragement. For many of us, we can't remember because it's not a priority. That's doing good. That's being rich in good deeds. How are you viewed on social media? Right? So often we forget that profile that we set up reflects who we are and what comes out of our heart. Do people know if we're one side or the other? Do people know if we point fingers? Or do people know that we're filled with grace, love, and mercy? Do you serve your family? Or is it a chore? Do you serve your community? Or is it forgotten? Are you an example of Jesus to others? And you say, well, Chris, what does it mean to be an example of Jesus? Ephesians 2:10 says, we are God's masterpiece, right? We're created in his image. He has created us anew in Jesus so that we can do good things he planned for us long ago to do. We all have a purpose. Yeah. We all have good works that he's already laid out for us. And friends, it means that we need to be generous. That our attitude, okay, and our heart needs to be motivated by goodness, hope, and practice. Matthew 5 tells us this. You are the light of the world. Like a city on the hill that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand and it gives light to everyone. Verse 16, in the same way, let your good deeds, there it is again, rich in good deeds, shine out for all to see so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. Now, quite often in pastoring a church and in leading a church, I have people come up to me all the time. Chris, how can I make a difference? Give me an example. How can I serve? What can I do? Right? And I ask that all the time. So what I did this week is this. I put in Google, so I went to Google, and I put in examples of good works. So this isn't from the Bible, this is from Google. Okay? Listen to some of the answers. Pay it forward by paying for the coffee, the food, or the bus fare for the person behind you in line. Introduce two people you think would make great friends and introduce them to one another. Offer to help a friend unpack or move. Donate clothes to a homeless shelter. Offer to do the shopping for a friend or neighbor who is sick or has reduced mobility. Tell someone you believe in them before an important test or a job interview. Help out a stressed parent by offering to babysit. Surprise your partner by doing a household chore they usually do, which you know they hate. Tell a friend whom you know has been trying to lose weight that they look great. Make a conscious effort to work on a flaw you know is in your life and change it. Volunteer to be a big brother, big sister. Adopt a neighbor, introduce yourself to your neighbors. Hold the elevator door for someone who didn't quite make it in time. And then be patient when someone is taking too long in line in front of you. Now, what do you guys think of those examples? Are they good works? Are they rich in good works? Absolutely. And that's from Google. So are you looking for ways to be a good person, to share good works? Well, there you go. If we begin to put them in practice every day, what are we going to be? We're going to be rich in good works. People are going to look to see how we live. I was at Christmas tree shops, right? I was buying some stuff. And I had this cart. You know, the cart was full of stuff. And already put stuff on the counter. And the lady that was graciously checking me out, she was a little slower. You know, and I looked at her and I was just like, hey, is there a coupon? Can I look up a coupon? She's like, sure. She gave me the slate. So I go on my phone. And I was typing on my phone, I was downloading the coupon, trying to find it, and all of a sudden, this lady comes up behind my cart, and she's like, hey, get off your phone. I'm like, what's up? She goes, you're holding the line up. I said, I'm not holding the line up, this is all my stuff, and I'm getting checked out, I'm getting a coupon. She was just like, oh, okay, and then sprinted over to customer service so she could get out of the store. Wow. I didn't even have time to say, God bless you, I love you. But the point is this. Is that us? Like suddenly, that's not Jesus. Like we can look for opportunities to encourage people to say hi, to smile, to do whatever when we're checking out. But so often, how do we live? We live fast-paced, getting to the next thing. That's not true life. Our third thought, true life means we're generous to those in need. Tell them to use their money to do good. They should be rich in good works and generous to those in need. Always be ready to share with others. And that's everything. Being willing to share and give away our stuff, our belongings, the things we don't need, our storage units. Right? I saw someone posted this week, do you think it's okay just to throw everything in my junk drawer away? Would I notice it? And I thought, that is so true. You could dump out your junk drawer and wouldn't even think about it because it's all just what? Junk. But yet we keep it. That's crazy. We have to be motivated to what? Give things away. And Paul is challenging us, and that's our charge. He says, you want to lead a real life, a true life, then just share everything. You know, your money, your belongings, your stuff. And that's just not right here in 1 Timothy. It's throughout the Bible. Throughout the Bible, God challenges us to share because we are rich. But listen to this. Only 24% of taxpayers last year reported on their tax returns that they made a charitable gift, according to the analysis of the Internal Revenue Service. A decade earlier, that figure routinely reached 31%. So 7% drop in charitable giving. Now the YMCA, they were asked a question about this giving, and this is their response. It's possible, of course, that many Americans no longer feel the same fuzzy feelings after giving their money away that they once did. This could result from the engagement fatigue that we constantly are bombarded with. Respondents, right, to the poll of why they give less said this. Their communities are not improving as much as they would expect, and they believe that government, Businesses, churches, and schools need to do more to help out. So they don't give and they want someone else to do it. Well, I'm not going to give anything and I'm not going to be charitable, but someone else will pick it up. And it's their responsibility. Now, personally, I didn't get offended at that. I took that as a challenge because churches were listed. And if you're going to list churches there, I'll come out right out and say, I believe Jesus wants to change our community, and you know that. And that's the purpose and mission of this community of faith. To change our community, to share with others, to be rich in good works. Because Psalm 37 tells us, the godly are able to be generous with their gifts and loans to others, and their children are a blessing. The good person, Psalm 112, is generous and lends lavishly. Proverbs 11 tells us the generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. Isn't it quite apparent that we're so stressed out, we're so overwhelmed, we're too busy, we don't feel refreshed. But yet if we're living the true meaning of life and making Jesus a priority and doing whatever it takes to reach others, guess what? We're going to be refreshed. 2 Corinthians 9 tells us, yes, God will give you much so that you can give away much. And when we take your gifts to those who need them, they will break out into thanksgiving and praise to God for your help. So friends, to do what it takes, there's benefits. Our lives change when we truly live this true life, when we give our life away. 3 examples of what happens within our life, how we change when we give it away. And the first is this. I point people to Jesus. I point people to Jesus. Notice verse 19. By doing this, they will be storing up their treasure as a good foundation for the future, so that they may experience what? True life. And see, John told a powerful story about a woman who had experienced pain, heartache. Right? She was tempted. She was living with many men, had broken off relationships. She had no hope, no meaning. Jesus offered her new life. And in John 4, we hear this. The woman took the hint and left. In her confusion, she left her water pot. Back in the village, she told the people, come, see a man who knew all about the things I did, who knows me inside and out. Do you think this could be the Messiah? And they went out to see for themselves. So what did this woman do? Think about it. She didn't memorize the script. She didn't use a track. She didn't use scripture. She didn't preach a sermon. She didn't lead anyone in prayer. What did she do? She just said, go see Jesus. That's all she said. She said, go see this man that totally changed my life, totally changed my world. She simply invited people to come and meet Jesus. And as you look around, I firmly believe this, as you look around, not on Sundays, but every day that you live your normal life, you may be in class, you may be on the job, you'll see people hurting and looking for comfort. Will you point them to God? You'll see people at the gym that are discouraged, frustrated, even angry. Have no hope. Will you point them to God? You'll see someone at maybe a friend or a family member that are searching in need for direction. They're looking for encouragement. They're looking for hope. Will you point them to God? Because see, when someone points, think about this. If someone points, typically we do what? We look. Come on, be honest. If I walked out the front door and looked up in the sky and said, oh, look, a bald eagle, what are you going to do? You're going to look. No. Bald eagle. All the heads are going to go. Right? That's all you got to do. Point people to God. Point them to God. Why? Because He's the one that brings hope and meaning to our lives. Now, I want to share with you real quick. I'm going to post it later today on our social media. But Chris Pratt, he is a big, huge Hollywood star. He's Star-Lord and movies. He's been on TV. Well, he accepted and won the Generation Award at the most recent MTV Movie and TV Awards. Okay, so he accepted this award. And this is only an excerpt from his speech. Again, I'll post the whole thing later today. But he imparted some wisdom into the audience, typically young people. Let's give a listen to what he said. God is real. God loves you. God wants the best for you. Believe that. I do. If you're strong, be a protector. And if you're smart, be a humble influencer. Strength and intelligence can be weapons, and do not wield them against the weak. You have a soul. Be careful with it.
Doesn't matter what it is, earn it. Learn to pray. It's easy, and it's so good for your soul. And finally, nobody is perfect. People are going to tell you you're perfect just the way you are. You're not. You're imperfect. You always will be, but there is a powerful force that designed you that way. And if you're willing to accept that, you will have grace. And grace is a gift. And like the freedom that we enjoy in this country, that grace was paid for with somebody else's blood, do not forget it. Don't take it for granted.
Now the amazing thing is this, he pointed people to Jesus. Did he ever say Jesus? No. He never said Jesus. But as people ask questions, they're going to say, well, who died? Who shed blood? He's pointing them to God. Right? On the biggest stage, he was pointing them to God. But so often within our lives, we have all these opportunities every day to point people to God. We just let them go by. We're too busy. We're not focused. We're not looking around. We're on schedule. We're on time constraint. The person in front of us is too slow. Get out of the way. I need to go to the express lane. Right? Let me order all my groceries online so that I don't have to see anybody and I can just pick them up and get them home. Right? We're avoiding those true life, real life encounters every day that can make us led. We can be a person that points people to Jesus. Our second is this: I am a sample of Jesus. Remember, by doing this, we store up treasures for a good foundation for the future, and we experience true life, Paul tells us. Who doesn't like samples at Sam's Club? Come on, be honest. You know, you go through Sam's Club. Now, some of them are you just pass by because they aren't tasty. But the ones that you smell and you know, you walk up to that counter and you look at the lady and she says, hey, these corn chips were just brought in from Nicaragua. They're fresh. They're going to change your life. They're all natural. Try it in this new fresh salsa. And it is so delicious and tasteful. And you take like 3 bags home and 2 fresh jars of salsa. Right? That sample sells you and you're like, yes, I love that stuff. It's life-changing. It's going to make me a better person, that salsa. We're called to do that in our relationship with Jesus. We are called, now listen, we are called to be a sample of Jesus to others. And we have to look no further than this guy named Levi. Okay, Levi, who is also known as Matthew. Jesus meets Levi and invites him into a relationship, into life change. Levi responds, his life is changed. We then learn that Matthew, this guy, this tax collector, he was hated, of course, right? He didn't know, he had no idea what it meant to share his faith. He had no religious background, right? He had failed miserably at handling objections. Now hear this out, Levi, he never led a small group. He never served in kids ministry. He never volunteered in church. The only thing this guy knew how to do, he knew how to throw a party. That's all he knew how to do. He threw a party. And that's exactly what he did. Bought some burgers, threw them on the grill, maybe whipped up some barbecue, put a game on the big screen, hired a band, who knows? Sent out some invitations, and what did he have? He had a party. Listen to Luke 5. Later, Levi held a banquet, a party in his home with Jesus as the guest of honor. Many of Levi's fellow tax collectors and other guests also ate with them, but the Pharisees, the teachers of religious law, complained bitterly about Jesus' disciples, or to them, Why do you eat and drink with such scum? Healthy people don't need a doctor, sick people do. I've come to call not those who think they are righteous, but those who know they are sinners and need to repent. So what's the point of that story? Levi had a party. You just need to start with what you have. Think about the things that you have. Start with what you have. For example, do you have a boat? Invite someone down to the river to ride on the boat or to go skiing. Do you have season tickets? Do you enjoy going to a Suns game? Do you enjoy going to games? Take someone with you. Invite someone to be a part. Can you cook? I know many of you can cook really well. But yet we invite no one over. Cook for someone. Make it a priority. Many of you have extra time. If you have extra time, volunteer. Why not volunteer? Because I tell you what, staring at a movie or staring at your phone or staring at your iPad or your TV screen, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. All you're doing is killing brain cells, right? And you don't have to smoke anything. Just stare at the screen. It's crazy. It's true. It's true. The more we watch, the dumber we get. The point is this. Will you be a sample of Jesus to others? And you say, well, Chris, what does it mean to be a sample? Remember what Jesus promised. He says, I'm going to be the Father, but the one that's greater than me is going to live in you. Right. And Psalm 34 says, taste and see the Lord is good. Yeah. Oh, the joys of those who take refuge in him. Friends, people want to taste and see that God is good in your life. Live it. Make it a priority. And finally, the third thing that happens to our lives when we deny it, when we live truly, is I'm an invitation to others. 1 Timothy 6:19, remember, we're building up this good foundation for the future, and we experience true life. You never know who may encounter, who may experience Jesus by the way you live, by how you live, by the things you say. And think about this. One time, when Jesus healed a blind man, tons of skeptics and the religious leaders, they showed up, and they're like, that Jesus guy, he's a sinner. But listen to what the blind man said. I don't know whether he was a sinner, the man replied, but I know this. I was blind, now I see. Amen. But what he did do, they asked, but what did he do, they asked, how did he heal you? Look, the man exclaimed, I told you once, didn't you listen? He told him I was blind, now I see. Why do you want to hear it again? Do you want to become his disciples? See that? But what did this guy do? He simply told his story. That's all he did. He said, I was blind, and now I see. And if you're here this morning in your relationship with Jesus, you have a story. You have an encounter. You had life change. At some point in your life, life change happens when we what? When we confess with our mouth and believe in our hearts Jesus died for the sins, we become a believer. And he promises a new and abundant life, a fresh life, if we live with purpose and meaning. Will you invite people to life change? And friends, again, you know what? Just invite them to church with you. I'll meet you at the vineyard. Let's schedule a time. When do you want to go? What Sunday you're available? We're doing this series. You know, there's so many people out there within their lives. For example, next month we're starting a new series called The Con Man. And there's so many people that live life believing lies about themselves. Just believing lies. And that's our enemy's tool. He whispers things into our ears that we believe lies about ourselves, and we never live up to our potential. And we're going to eradicate those lies next month. And we're going to truly live as people that invite others to experience Jesus. So let's pray. Holy Spirit, we invite you to come, God. We thank you for a Sunday where we can realize and see the true meaning of life. Where, God, we know that whatever it takes, we want to be an example of you to others. We want to be a people that our actions, our deeds, our words are one that's a reflection of you. God, may we just be different. May we be different, and may we look at each opportunity, each day, as a gift from you. Bring people into our path that we can point, that we can be a sample, and that we can invite. Allow our lives to have meaning and purpose. And God, not to just let them pass away in our busyness. And we love you and thank you for that in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name.